Hello, and welcome back to the third part of this skill review for Chapter 4. This should be the last part. We're starting on Step 17. From the previous video, we hid column B, and we're trying to make a printout so that people or students can sign in. So we hid that column B because that contained their student ID numbers, and we don't want other students seeing that. So in step 17, we need to set the page layout options. So we're going to go to the page layout tab. And in the page setup group, we're going to click on orientation. And we're going to set that to landscape. Then on the page layout tab, in the page setup group, click the margins button and select narrow. So we're going to do margins. And we see narrow as an option. And you can see what those settings actually are for narrow. Then a nice feature that we're going to do for part C is on the page setup or page layout tab. We're going to click in the scale to fit group. We're going to expand the width option and select one page, and expand the height list and select one page. And then on the page layout tab, the sheet options group, we're going to click the print checkbox under grid lines. So we're in the page layout. And then we're going to go to sheet options. Under grid lines, we're going to check the box under print. Now we're ready for step 18. Step 18 says print only the part of the worksheet to use the attendance sign-in sheet. So we need to select the cells that we want to print on that sign-in sheet. They're saying it's going to be A1 to C26. So notice they already had typed this up above, sign-in sheet, to sign here to indicate attendance. Then we're going to click File to open the Backstage view, File, and we're going to click Print, and you can see what that's going to print here. And since that's the case, that's not printing what we want, because we should be able to see this over here. So notice this little arrow here, that'll get me back into the spreadsheet. So we've selected these cells. I typically like to do this. That's set the print area. Now when we go to File and we hit Print, you see that's all we see. And that's what you should be seeing here. So this is called the Backstage view, and that'll show us what we're actually going to print. Under Settings, here's the Settings area. Click the Print Active Sheet, which we've done, and we can select Print Selection. Since we're not hooked up to a printer, you probably don't want to do that at this time. Now I'm going to back out of this again, and I'm going to clear the print area, and this time we've got this selection. Just wanted to show you how this would work and the way they're stepping you through that. They then go to File, go to Print. we don't want to print this particular sheet. We want to print the selection that we had, and that gets you back to the same thing. I prefer to always make that selection so that I see it here instead of having to go through these different clicks. But since this is a training program, if we were submitting this for a grade, it would probably want to see that you've selected those two options and to get the same print area that on the screen here. Okay. Now, something that I typically like to do is I will go to page setup. From here, it's just easy for me to put in any headers and footers that I want right here. If I go to sheet, I would click my grid lines here. If I wanted different margins, I would set them here, and so on. If I wanted to fit to one page, I would just click here, and this is typically by default 1. So for me, instead of doing all the different steps you just did, this is much quicker in order to do that quick page setup and make it all in one location. But the way the book is taking you through it and the way we've just done it works just as fine. It's just a matter of preference. Okay, so I hit cancel here. At the end of step 18, click the back arrow to exit the backstage view. So I'm going to click here, and so now we're ready to go on to the other steps. So it says at the end of the semester, you'll need to print all of the attendance records to turn into the administration office. Let's see this. Let's set this up for the TTH300 class worksheet. Okay. So we're on to step 19. So we need to select the TTH300 class worksheet. We've got that. And hide the attendance sign-in column by right-clicking on column C heading and selecting hide. So we'll do that. So I'm going to undo this because I think I'm on the wrong worksheet. So I'm going to hit Control Z. Click off here. I'm going to click this TTH300. So now I'm on the right worksheet. So modify. It says we're going to hide column C again, or this column C. And we're going to hit hide. Modify the worksheet so column A and rows 1 through 8 will print on every page. 1 through 8. So what we're doing now is we're actually going to have, we're printing out multiple sheets. We're going to have 1 through 8, whatever's here, print on every page. So on the page layout tab, we're going to, in the page setup group right here, we're going to click on print titles. Click the rows and the rows to repeat at top. It's right here. And then click and drag the mouse to select rows 1 through 8. So we're going to do that. Okay, notice how I put it in there. So there's an absolute $sign in front of 1 and then $sign in front of the 8. That selects that range there of those rows. So every time we have a different page, it'll just put those rows to the side. Click the columns to repeat at left. And select A. Notice you get a $sign in front of the A there. Click OK. So now, step 21 says preview the worksheet, how the worksheet will look when printed, and make adjustments from the print page to keep the report to 4 or fewer pages. So this is how you would go about if you wanted to save paper. So we'll go to File, we'll go to Print. That opens up the Backstage view. And notice here it tells me how many pages we're going to print. But if we're reading those directions, it doesn't quite match up. So it's only saying it's going to print one page of what we're printing. I'm going to go back here. And so modify the worksheet. We're on this. We've hid column C. We're going to do print titles. We've got that. Link the rows to repeat at the top. Got that. Seems to me like it left out the print area. So the print area is going to be, we want all of this to the end. And I believe we had 20. And that doesn't seem to show either. So hold on one second. Okay, I think I figured out what I've done wrong here, or didn't go ahead and do. So we've got all our settings here. We're doing the print titles. We've got this. We hit OK. Then we go to File. We go to Print. And what we need to do is, if you're doing this all in one setting, is under the Settings Print selection, we need to say Print Active Sheet. So now that gives us the 1 to 5 pages that we were looking at. So on step 21, we did part B there. Now we're going to do part C. We see all that it's going to print on 5 pages. Part D is click the portrait orientation. And so we see this right here. They want us to set that to landscape. So that changes how that'll look. Then under we have as normal margins, we should set that to custom margins. And that may not be what we want, so we'll change that. So instead of selecting last custom margins, we need to select this button right here. And that brings up the screen that we can see the custom margins there. And it wants us to set the top, bottom, left, and right values to 0.5 inches. So 0.5, 0.5. Left 0.5. So I've got that. We'll leave the header and footer alone for the moment. And then we'll click OK. Under Settings, click No Scaling right here. And we'll say Fit all rows on 1 page. So you can see how it did that. Now we're just on 2 sheets. So if we go to the second sheet, you can see how it keeps it this column A there, and we can see the rows 1 through 8 remain at the top. So until you practice and do this a couple of times to get a feel for what you want to print out and what to keep on the pages that print each time, you just need to practice in order to get a feel for how that actually works. So the step 22 here says we want to modify the worksheet page breaks. So weeks 1 through 8 print on the first page and 9 through 16 print on the second page. So we want to get out of this backstage view, so we'll click the back button. Then part B of step 22 says we might want to scroll to the right so that T and V are visible. And so that shows you where the current page break is in this file. So it says click cell T1 on the page layout tab right there. Click the breaks button, select insert page break. So we're going to click here and do insert page break. Okay, so notice, I don't know if you can see this, it's a little darker here. But that's where week 8 is. So to the left of that is where that page break went in. Click the File tab to open page view, and then print to preview how the change will affect how it's looking. So File, Print, and say you can see how it's week 8 there. And then we get the rest there. Okay. We're not going to print anything. We're going to exit out of this. And we now need to save and close the workbook. So I'll do that. Now I would just say this, that if you've got a break, if you don't like the break, you could say remove this particular page break, or you could remove all page breaks. So you need to know how to undo things as well. Also, the way we've gone through this works fine. That's how you want to learn things, and that's what you're used to. I typically, when I'm setting up this printout again, I will click here. I can do print preview. That's that backstage view. It just seems it's quicker for me than to go to File and hit Print, especially if I'm already doing or setting these things up for my print area. All right, so at this point, we should be able to save it, and we're going to upload it and see what kind of grade we get. So I'm going to hit Upload. So I've submitted it, and you'll see what kind of grade we get. And didn't like anything, so we'll see what I've done wrong here. And I believe I submitted the wrong file. I tried to keep the original file separate from the file that I submit or have been working on, so I think I just submitted a blank file. So hopefully this is the correct one. And so, yes, we got everything correct, so it looks good. And so that ends this skill review for Chapter 4.